Hello, everyone. This is Cristina Lozada, your host today for this podcast. And today we're going to be talking about the insights of the real estate market. Now we have Omar Robles here with Realty of America. Welcome, Omar.
Thank you, Cristina. I appreciate being on this podcast. And, if anything, it's an honor to be working with you again and with Realty of America, with a new brokerage, new company that we're both super excited to be part of. I joined this company December 30th of last year is when I joined. This company started in Arizona in November, but it launched nationally in September of last year at the NARP National Convention.
Yeah, there's a lot of excitement about Realty of America here in Arizona, and I made the move. When I met with Eddie and Mark Dimas, I couldn't say no because everything that they offer was just super amazing. And for me to be a team leader and to serve the community for 13 years and to look at this opportunity that came knocking to my door, I couldn't say no. And I worked very hard. And the opportunity that this company offered to me and to other agents that are coming aboard is just amazing. And I want you to talk a little bit about the opportunities that ROA is bringing to the agents here in Arizona.
See, and that's a very important thing. And that's one of the reasons why Realty of America was born. Now, just to give you a little background of Realty of America, it started with a dream, right? And Eddie Garcia talks about this all the time. And if you ever follow him on social media, you'll always see his saying, which is working on the dream, because for him, this is his American dream. Like we all have an American dream, whether you're from the United States or whether you're from another country. Eddie has an amazing story, came here when he was 5 years old from Mexico City. And Eddie tells it better than I do. So hopefully I give it some justice, because one of the important things is for people to have an understanding on why you follow people, right? Why you chose to be led by certain people. And you and I, we're both leaders, right? And for somebody to convince us, because people come at us left and right. Every day we get opportunities, right? There's an opportunity for someone to sell us on something. I'm not going to say we're the easiest people to convince. I've been in this business for over 20 years now. Yeah. Owned a real estate company. It was successful, agent count-wise. That's where I met you, had the privilege of working with you. This company, like you said, it just has so much to offer, and we'll get more into that. But with your experience, Cristina, you've been in the industry for how long now?
For 13 years.
13 years. And how many transactions do you think you've closed?
Over 500 transactions.
Just by yourself? That doesn't include your team?
Yes.
Because I know if I go through the archives, I can pull out the exact count.
Yes.
Right, of how many, but you were always a top producer. Nobody was ever close to you. In years and years, you were always number one. Not even close, right? And I think that's another exciting opportunity and why you chose Realty of America is because now you're swimming in waters with people like you.
Yes.
Top producers, highly motivated individuals, highly successful people. We have, and Eddie tells this, there's a rumor, right, that started that to be part of ROA, you had to be $100 million producer. Mm-hmm. That is a rumor out there in the industry right now. And if you think about that, right, there's not many $100 million producers. So that was kind of intimidating to some people, but that's not true. But that just goes to show you that the people they're attracting are people that we can learn from, we can grow from, we can grow with. And that's the beautiful thing about this company is that we're all growing together. And we'll get more into the details about how the company works, and I keep saying Eddie Garcia, you do as well, but we can't forget Mark Dimas. Mark Dimas, he was the top realtor in the country.
Yes.
No ifs, ands, or buts. He was the top guy. And the only reason he's not the top guy anymore is because now he's focusing his energy on building out ROA. And you met Mark, right? So we met at a restaurant. And it's funny because he's very meticulous, right? Eddie is, you talk about, he has a 27,000 square foot office in Chicago. That's a Realty of America headquarters. And the way he's designing the space every square inch is intentional. There's nothing that Eddie has not seen and determined that there's going to be a groove on that wood panel. There's going to be a certain color over here. We're going to mesh. I mean, he's just meticulous in his operation. So are you. And I think you realize really quickly that you had a lot in common with them.
Yes.
Right.
Even his story, you know, being an immigrant and coming to the United States when he was 5. I'm an immigrant. I came to the United States when I was 7, and I have told this story before. My parents were both farm workers when I was 7, and they brought us to the United States. So we seen and we worked so hard throughout our life just to achieve something, because we know we can achieve so many things, but everything starts with us. You know, we have to be determined. We have to follow a process, and we have to be committed to that dream that we want to achieve in life.
Right.
So when I met with Mark Dimas and Eddie Garcia, and when I sat down with them, like, I didn't even have time to say, I'm going to think about it to see if I'm going to join this company. Right there, right then, I told them, yes, I'm in, because it's giving me the opportunity of growth that I've been looking for so many years. Even when I became a real estate agent, I had a dream. I said, I'm going to be a top producer. I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to be building houses. I'm going to be non-stoppable. And sometimes we come into companies, but we're limited to what we can actually do. And when I talked to these 2 CEOs of the company, I felt like there's no limit. There's no limit. We can go above and beyond what we have dreamed when we became agents the first day that we got licensed. And I'm like, this is the opportunity that I was looking for. And it's finally here after 13 years working so hard. Now the opportunity is there. So that's why I said, yes, I'm in. I didn't even say, I'm going to think about it. I'll call you later. I'll meet up with you another time. I said, yes, I'm in. And from that moment on, I went back to my office. I talked to the team members that I work with, and everybody said yes. So we're here, and we're part of Realty of America, which I'm very proud to say it, but it's just a great company.
And we're just starting.
Yeah.
We're just starting. And today is officially your first day.
Yes, today is my first day, and I'm all excited, recording videos, doing the podcast. And I want to bring agents on board, agents that work very hard the same way I work, but maybe they're just stuck right there. They're just stuck. So this is the motivation that you need to actually become what you want to become as an agent.
That's correct. And I think one thing that, resonated with me, and with Eddie, I've known Eddie for about 10 years now. I met Eddie Garcia at a mastermind that I was invited to by a good friend of mine, Olivia Pineda, Mike Pineda, mayor of Avondale. And I got a phone call one day, and it was Olivia. She had introduced me to another gentleman named Rich Hernandez, who was one of the first national presidents of NARP. And, I got on the phone with Rich, and they happened to be meeting in Scottsdale at a independent broker retreat. So we had brokers from California, from Texas, from Florida. Those are the main places. And they called me. And there was another broker here that was local as well that was at this retreat. And I had the privilege of sitting next to Eddie Garcia for a couple of days. And this is when we were both still kind of new. His company was around for 4 years. Mine was around for 3 years. And, we had similarities as far as agent count and whatnot. One thing that I've learned in my time in leadership is to be a great listener, right? Because when you're listening, when you're talking, you can't learn, right? So it's important to be a great listener. So that was one thing I took away from Eddie, is like, this guy's a great listener. And then when he speaks, he's very calculated, right? He doesn't like to mince words. He's very analytical. He's just a different breed altogether. So that's when I met him. He gave me some great advice that I didn't take, but still, it was great advice. And we had stayed in contact, over the years. I saw him at the NARP conventions. I would see him twice a year, showed him a lot of love, vice versa. We would always, say hello to each other and have a conversation. And, we'd follow each other on social media. So we both kind of saw each other's ascent. When Eddie reached out to me in September of this last year and asked me to come out to San Diego to meet with him and Mark, I flew out there. And when we talked, they told me how they built this company, how meticulous it was. It took them 18 months just to get the framework for the back office done, just to recruit and hire top C-level, which is, corporate level executives. And everybody in this company that he put into place is somebody of reputation, somebody that has done great things on a national level. So he just hand selected a bunch of quality people to build this company around. And I think that's what you're seeing now, why so many top producers are coming to Realty of America. When we met with you, I know you had already done your homework, about the company. Like, I know you have. You're very meticulous. You're very detail oriented. Emotion sometimes in the past would motivate me, but it's, just lessons in life. Like, don't let your emotions get the best of you. But one great thing that I've always admired about you is that I know that you're very calculated. That's why you're as successful as you are. That's why everybody knows who you are in this industry. With these guys, when Eddie came to me and talked to me about the opportunity, at first I actually said no. That, I'm sorry, I'm going to another company, thank you. He came out again in November when, they had hired their DB and they were ready to launch here. Came out, we met and we talked again. And this time he actually, explained to me, his vision. Because before it was just how he put the company together, which was a very, admirable conversation. I was sold. And these are people that they don't fail, right? Because they've sacrificed so much to get to where they are. And once people hear Eddie's story and Mark's story, they'll see these guys came from nothing. They came from nothing. I don't want to say nothing like money is everything or wealth is everything, because it's not. But, they came from very humble beginnings. You talk about all the adversity that we have to face. You know this, Cristina, because you and I kind of grew up in the same type neighborhood. I know you come from Sinaloa. I grew up here in Phoenix. But I think you went to South Mountain High School, right?
Yeah.
I went to Carl Hayden. So we know a lot of the adversity that we faced growing up. And it wasn't easy, but at the same time, I still think, we had a lot of love in our lives, which probably saved us, from a lot of things. But, when I talked to Eddie the second time and I couldn't say no, I went to my team and my team was on board. And, we all came on board. We had our launch on February 20th. And ever since that launch, we've had so many people interested because we had to learn the system. We had to learn all the ins and outs because it's a new company.
Yes, of course.
And so now we know all the systems, and of course, everything's always evolving. Things are getting better. When they came to me and we decided to do Arizona, like we have to, we have to do this right. And you were one of the first people I said, hey, we have to talk to Cristina Lozada. I'm glad we did.
Well, I'm happy to be here, part of the familia of Realty of America as well. Every agent that's out there may be looking at this podcast right now, because I know a lot of agents are going to be playing this. So what would you tell an agent that wants to maybe change the way that he's doing business right now? Change it for the better for them.
In this business, a lot of people, you have to be self-driven, right? You have to have, without that, if you don't have a motor, I don't care. You could be selling gum, right? If you have no motor, it's not going to work for you. And, I started out in the industry as a salesperson. I was able to build a great referral base, and I grew my business out of referrals. Then when I opened my company, I was great at connecting with people, and we grew a successful company. I think when it comes to sales as a realtor, one of the things that's easy to do, it's easy to get burnt out on things, right? But at the end of the day, you got to have a motor. And you know this, discipline always beats motivation every day of the week.
Yes.
And you have to be able to, like in life, there's ups and downs. Like even if you have a great job, right? That company could get in danger. Next thing you know, you're looking for a new job, right? So with us, with real estate agents, when we close a deal, we're unemployed, right? And we have to find more work. And that's one of the beautiful things about Realty of America. And we're not the first to do it, but other companies kind of showed the way. But I think we've learned a lot from their mistakes. And the beautiful thing about this company is that every agent that's part of this company has the potential of being a stakeholder, an equity holder. In a traditional model, after you close your deal, there's nothing in it for you, right? You have to go back to work, and that's okay. But why not have an option to where if you help the company succeed, if you help the company grow, why not be rewarded for it? It only makes sense.
Exactly.
And a lot of traditional brokers, they can't do that. And the beautiful thing about us is we're new by name, but the experience that this company has is unbelievable. Nobody else has amassed the kind of talent that Realty of America has now. And the reason they were able to do that is because there's something in it now for the agents. I really think we were able to be put in a great situation, because if you're an agent out there, especially if you're a producing agent, I guarantee you, you can think about this and how many agents did I bring to this company that I'm at right now? How many people did I introduce here?
Right? How many agents have a team right now? Yeah.
Exactly. And you know this firsthand. I mean, we worked together for 6-7 years, and you brought a bunch of people to the company. You did. A lot of they were my best advocates, right? Bringing agents to the company, but we had nothing to offer them other than thank you, right? Because we just weren't set up that way. That's not how the company was designed. And it's funny because when I first came into real estate, 100% was revolutionary, right? Because you had your KWs and your, Remax, and you had all these other companies that were great companies, but it was a traditional model, right? There was a training schedule, there was a commission split, and that was it. Everything evolves. So 100% was brand new. And so that's all I ever knew was 100%, because when I got my license in 2003, it's been a long time, it was 100%. So you know this, like when you came into real estate, what kind of model were you at?
Yes, I remember I joined a company. It was like a small family-owned real estate company. It was the husband, the wife, and their children. They were already grown and they were agents. Yes, and I was at a 30/70 because I didn't know other company. I didn't know best or where to go or what to do. But after experiences gained over the years, then you start noticing, hey, I need something different. I cannot stay like this for the rest of my life, Right,
and then you start evolving as a professional, right? You start,
of course,
taking on clients. You start getting your experience doing transactions. You start building your business, and then like any other business owner, and that's what real estate agents are. We're all entrepreneurs at the end of the day, right? And I don't want to say we're mercenaries, right? But we are independent contractors. Our contracts say that, ICA, Independent Contractor Agreement, right? Which gives us flexibility to find something else, right? It doesn't lock us in most cases. I'm not saying there's not agreements out there where it does commit you to something, but one of the things when it comes to our experience, right, that helped you out a lot as far as like learning the business. But at the end of the day, even at that model, there was nothing in it for you afterwards, right? You close your deal and everybody would get their piece, and then it's time to find the next deal, right? And why not be rewarded, right, for your production and for helping the company grow? Why not be able to earn revenue share, right? Why not be able to earn stock?
Yes.
Right? And that's the big thing. And that's what I love about, Eddie and Mark, and something that, we talk about, because, there's different communities out there that we belong to. And the beautiful thing about Realty of America is that we're a company of, diversity.
Yes.
The only identity, that Realty of America has is that we're for everybody.
Yes.
At the end of the day, right?
Yes.
We're for everybody. The key word, especially that Eddie loves to use, is the word equity, right? Because that's how we're able to achieve, right, whatever you feel financial freedom is, right? Some people only need X amount of dollars to live, and some people, as we know, they have no feel, right? But financial freedom, whatever that means to you, one of the things about this company is you do earn stock, right, for performance. So there is that component. You do earn the revenue share. There are different levels of revenue share as you evolve and as you're able to grow the network. And it can turn into something very, very profitable. And why not? You help the company grow.
Yes.
So there's nothing, I think, that's terrible in that. And the other beautiful thing is we don't have monthly fees with this company. There's no monthly fee. There are a couple of technology fees and that are annual. There are a couple of little fees here and there, right? You work hard, you put in the time, then you're gonna create something that's beautiful.
Yeah, determined to grow with ROA as well here in Arizona. And I know a lot of people want to join ROA. What do they need to do if they want to join ROA? Of course, give us a call.
Right, reach out to Cristina.
Yeah, reach out
to Cristina.
Yeah, reach out to us, and we're gonna show you the model that ROA has, because it's great. It's going to be transforming people's lives and their lifestyle as well.
Right.
So it's not only being part of Realty of America, but it's living the lifestyle that Realty of America has to offer to the agent.
Right. And I think what's really important there is something that Eddie and Mark are very, very intentional about is the culture, right? As far as bringing on and just attracting, like we don't even call it recruiting, it's just attracting, right? Eddie and Mark are really big on energy, really big on frequencies, and have a higher level of thinking, right? And not just seeing what's in front of you, right? And being able to resonate with spirit. And it's just I'm going above and beyond when I'm having this conversation right now. It's a beautiful thing because one thing we want to make sure we do is we're authentic.
Yes.
Right, and that's the most important thing. So for agents who are looking for a place where there's probably about 60 trainings a month. You have great platforms, great technology stack as far as the CRM, as far as our back office system. We use SkySlope, which is great. A lot of people are familiar with that. And as far as how processes go and the people they have in place to protect the company, it's amazing. We have a great DB in town, Alma Wolf, great DB. Very lucky to have her. We have some of the top producers already, and we have, Carolina Gomez, and we have some great leaders. And then we have a bunch of people that are joining, ROA as well, that I'm very excited about.
Yes.
We feel the energy. And it starts at the top. It just does. Without Eddie and Mark, nobody, it wouldn't trickle down, right, to everybody and just them alone, because there are some successful companies out there that, weren't started by realtors.
Yes.
Right. And that's the beautiful thing is they know what it's like to struggle through a transaction. They know what it's like to win during a transaction. They know what it's like when the market goes down. They know what it's like when it's a good market. They know what it's like to not be able to get the lockbox open, or if the key's missing from the lockbox, or right, all the little struggles that we go through, right? They know what it's like for a transaction to cancel, because it happens, right? It just, unfortunately, that's part of the business. But that's the understanding that we have at the top, right? They're just, meticulous people. And like I said, it's an honor to work with these guys and to be able to grow and learn from them. And anybody that joins Realty of America is going to have that same opportunity.
Yeah. And I know that we're growing in different states as well. And we're going to be going to the lounge that they're going to be having over there for Las Vegas. So we're going to be going, for Nevada. But how many states are part of ROA right now? Because I know they want to be in every state. That's the goal.
Realty of America, right? We will, eventually the whole continent. But, right now, currently today, as we sit here, we're in 13 states.
Okay.
And by the end of the year, we should be in 25. That's the goal.
Okay.
25. And then after that, go after the other 25. But it all just depends, right? Because Eddie's very meticulous. He wants to make sure that when we open with the right people, with the right mentality, and that it's doable. Because when you're opening a company nationally, and this, Cristina, is every state is a little different, right? As far as what you need to do to operate in real estate. Like, I'll give you an example, like Illinois, right? That's an attorney type state where there's attorneys that have to be part of the transaction. In Arizona, it's not that case. We're allowed to write contracts, and they pulled a few executives too. They just hired a new lady out of, I don't want to say the name of the company they brought her on from, but you talk about, somebody that could work for any real estate company in the world at a high level position. They brought her on board recently, but that's how all the executives are. Yeah. It's a great company. We could sit here and talk forever, but it's just the opportunities, right, that agents have. You work hard, you help the company grow, you're going to be rewarded. Yeah,
and that's the best part, because we all work very hard already. We all work very hard, but it's just the way that they are rewarding the agents just by the way that they have everything structured.
Right.
Yeah, the program, how it is, how it's processed. I mean, I just love it. I love working for ROA. And I just want to let all the agents out there, if they have any questions, to come and talk to us, and we'll sit down with them. And we will also explain the compensation plan that ROA has to offer to the agents. And this is something that it caught my attention, because this is not short term. This is long term.
Right.
Yes.
I love how Eddie tells a story about one day he had a dream, and that dream, he had it and he flew to Mark the next day in Houston, right? He flew right to Mark and he told Mark, hey, I had a dream. And so they're talking and probably talked for about 20, 30 minutes and they were just both on board. So it didn't take Eddie a long time because they're both so calculated. They know what's good. We're going to bring them here, hopefully in the next couple months for a mindset summit.
Yes.
It's an event that Eddie and Mark are part of. Great event. Mindset Summit, obviously, it kind of explains it all. They bring all these top, speakers who have done it, are professionals who've done it. They've succeeded in their business. They have the accolades. They just didn't learn how to speak pretty, right?
Yes.
And so they have that.
We know we just have a couple of months here in Arizona that it launched here, but how do you see Realty of America and all of us together by the end of the year?
Right now, we have about 2,000 agents nationally, and we're still growing. There's agents coming on every day. We should more than triple that number by the end of the year. And again, and it's something, right? You can be experienced or even new agents, right? As far as the different things that we're going to be offering, like mentorship. So there's a lot of things that are in the works. The one word I can tell you is growth, right? This company is about growth and not the wrong kind of growth, right? Like intentional core value type growth, with the culture that we're building, with the technology that we have, with the education that we have, the support that we have. It's hard for anyone to even beat us with that.
Yes.
Right? Because of the people that we have in place.
Yes. And how professional it was formed. Yeah, it was formed very professional. The level of honesty and integrity, it just captured me. Yeah, right. Because we all want to keep that level of integrity high, the level of honesty and that professionalism as well. Because that's, at the end of the day, that's who we are. That's who we represent. Right. And this is what Realty of America it's all about.
Right.
Yes.
Over 20 years being in business, like I've never felt the way I do now. As far as working for a company that I really believe in with everything that I have, because I know what the opportunity is. I know what the opportunity looks like. And I know that if you were to work hard, put your head down, work hard for 3-4 years, because the beginning is always the best time to get in. Timing is everything, right? In any business. And I think right now the timing for Realty of America, because there's always going to be other generations that come in, right? So like Eddie says, we're the initial gatekeepers, but we have to be able to pave the way for the new generations coming in. And Eddie's really, really big on that, because for him, it's about legacy and creating their legacy, because they could have rode off into the sunset. Eddie started Realty of Chicago, built that company up to 430 agents when he decided to close it. He didn't know how his people were going to react, right? Because it was such a different model, because he had a traditional model, but he was very successful with it because of who he is and how he empowers people. Like, it's funny, he started this company, right? Because his friends told him to start the company so they could come work for him, his friends from his neighborhood. So he didn't plan on opening a real estate company. Yes. But his friends from his neighborhood, they saw how well he had started doing. And so they convinced him to open a company. He's like, man, I don't want to open a company, but they convinced him to do it. And so, great thing that he did. And so he built that company up to 430 agents, one of the top, real estate brokers in Chicago, volume-wise and transaction count-wise, out of over 4,000 brokers. And there's a lot of brokers in Chicago. It took him almost 2 years to make that dream a reality. I'm just honored, that I'm sitting here, and I'm sitting here with you now.
I'm honored to be part of all this dream, be part of all this legacy. And right now, something that you mentioned, now it's all about legacy, right? But it's not only creating legacy for Realty of America or the CEOs creating a legacy that is going to be here for many, many years to come, but it's also helping the agents that come on board create a legacy within their families, within their communities. And that's the best part of it, because we can be part of this momentum, creating a legacy for the people that we have worked for many years, our communities, our family. We are also going to be part of this legacy the ROA is creating.
Right.
Yes.
And it's amazing because, it took, other companies to do this, over 6 years to get to a position where they had over 1,000 agents.
Yes. We
did that on day one. Day one that we opened, that we launched September 13th, already had over 1,000 agents in place. And other people paved the way for us, right? We took that same roadmap and we made it better. And we did things our way. And here we are. Here we are, like, super excited to work with this company, to learn from this company, to grow with this company. Once you get into the ROA machine and you start actually experiencing how this company works, I'm telling you, it's a beautiful thing, because again, the people make all the difference in the world, right? Somebody could offer you something that's even a little bit better than what we have, but if you don't like the people and the culture and who's leading you, like, what's the difference? It makes no difference. But here, it's just a different ball game.
Yeah, we feel good here.
We feel great here, and a lot of collaboration, a lot of exciting things.
Yeah.
And with this company, during this time of my life, being able to contribute and being able to help agents, right, learn about this opportunity. There's not enough that I can say.
That's great that you mentioned that, because I'm a strong believer too. I trust in God every day. I pray to God every day. And now that I see this opportunity now is in my prayers. And I know that it's going to lead us to something good, because I know that God has been so good to us. And I know when I talk to Mark Dimas and I talk to Eddie Garcia, the way that they talk and express just that gratitude that they have within their hearts, it just makes you want to move on with them, you know? Yeah, and I think this is going to grow. It's just going to be something that is going to be non-stoppable. It's just going to start growing organically. And I think all the agents that are looking for something bigger, for something better for their life, they need to give themselves the opportunity to learn a little bit about Realty of America. They need to come and talk to us about ROA, because ROA is really opening the doors to people, to the possibilities, to the dreams. So that's who we are, and that's what we are here for, to help them achieve their dreams as well.
Right.
Yes, because ROA is opening the doors for us, for our dreams, right?
Right.
Yes.
They've already paved the way, and we have amazing leaders in this company. I think most realtors have a very servant heart. And that's one thing we didn't touch on, is community, right? You and I, we've done a lot for the community, right?
Yes.
Even before we joined Realty of America. I want to say we've raised hundreds of thousands for charity. We have. We've fed thousands of kids. So we have a very servant heart. We are all about community, and that's the other component about Realty of America. And Eddie, he does a turkey drive every year, even before Realty of America, when it was Realty of Chicago, where they give out thousands of turkeys right over these last 12 years. Eddie will tell you he's probably given out, millions of turkeys maybe, or, at least 500,000 turkeys. They'll get a bunch of gifts from the partners, like, just things that we need in life, right? Convenience things. And Eddie, you don't have to apply for it, right? Eddie says, hey, you need a little bit of help, come by and, we'll take care of you. You want a turkey? You don't have to fill out some form and tell us your story and your hardship. We just want to bless people. That's all. If you need a little bit of help, and, come through. But we've had that same, type of connection. And to me, that speaks volumes of the man as far as, creating that type of environment, because community for Realty of America is everything.
Even when they're not related to a real estate transaction, we're always there for the community, regardless what they need. They're always reaching out to us just because they feel comfortable, because they know we're going to guide them the right way. But we're here for the community, and we're going to be doing different events. We have the golf tournament that's coming up with the Consulado de Mexico, and then we're going to have our very good friends, Security National Mortgage, too, who Yvonne Vasquez and Marta Rodriguez were one of the founders, too, for this. Swing for Mexico tournament.
So, shout out, ladies.
Yes.
Yeah,
So we're gonna
a lot of great things.
Yes. So we're gonna be coming together to make this happen as well. And this is dedicated just for the students, for the scholarships for the students that have DACA. But it's a great program, and a lot of students have benefit from this program as well. Yeah, and there's the other program, the Entrepreneur Woman too, that they are also participating with us on the scholarship.
Blessing all kinds of people, right?
Yes.
That's what it's about.
That's the way to go.
Yeah. As far as like buyers and sellers, I know there's a lot of good programs out there now. I know there's everyone's talking about the Home in 5 Platinum Plus,
Yeah,
program.
5.7.
And I know there's a lot of benefit to that. Do you want to talk a little bit about, what you're seeing?
That program is there for everyone. First-time home buyers program is there. It's the interest rate. It's at 5.7, which is a very good rate. And they get 4%. 4%, 3.5 could be used towards the down payment and the other half a point towards their closing costs. So they can get that little help too. And not only that, we have all these new communities that are all around us. And there's this community especially, it's called Start Light Communities, where I take my clients because they have the DPA program there, and the interest rate there, it's at 4.99, which is great because I taken buyers there. They had put the earnest money $1,000. Once we close the transaction, not only do they go into a new house, they get their closing costs paid, they get their down money, their down payment money, and then at the end, the earnest money, they'll get it back. So they're going to these new homes with zero money out of pocket. So there's a lot of opportunities out there. There's a lot of communities offering different incentives.
Right.
So I work this every day. This is like my bread and butter.
And these builders are pulling out all the stops to move their inventory, right? And I know the market is different right now, right?
It's a good market.
This is what I tell people because for some reason, people are just focused on the interest rate.
Yes.
When the rates are low, what happens to the prices?
Yeah, they go up. We all know that.
We all know that. So now that the rates are different, property values have settled, right? To where now you have so many opportunities out there.
Especially for the buyers, first-time home buyers, there's so many opportunities, and it's great for them to take advantage of this market now because I don't think it's going to be lasting forever. Right. Things might change, interest rates might go lower, prices are going to go higher, and then that's when all these people want to come and buy a house at the same time. I mean, we had that wave before in the real estate market where people were offering $20,000, $30,000 above the market value. Wow. Now that we have a balanced market, I mean, it's very good for them to get into a house because people are renting and they could rent for the same amount that they could be buying a house. So I really want to encourage the buyers to come and find the right house today and find the right interest rate today. If I was to ask you when is the right time to buy a house, what would you answer?
Well, I think the answer to that question is it depends on your situation, right? There's never a wrong time to buy. It's all based off of your situation, right? So it's not based on the market. It's like, what can you do? How can you perform? Yeah. So the answer to that is whenever you're ready.
Yes, and that's what I always tell them. How do you know when you're ready? Because you have filed your taxes, you're working your 40 hours, you have that income stability in your life, and now you're ready.
Like Arizona's been experiencing growth for over 100 years, right? Yes. Ever since the first wagon rolled into town, right? The one thing about Arizona is we're such a dynamic market, right? We're unlike anywhere else. And especially now, the amount of investment pouring into Arizona. Apple invested $1 billion, right, into another plant here in Arizona. You got the new Via Resort that's coming up, the largest resort. The initial plan, remember the Super Bowl that was here a few years ago, right? The original plan when they started that resort is for the resort to be ready for the Super Bowl, but they kept adding to it. So there was no way they could ever finish that. So they just said, hey, if we're gonna build this thing out, let's build it out, in a way where it's gonna be worth the wait. All the money that's coming into Arizona, it's unbelievable because, I work more on the commercial side. It's just amazing what's happening here.
And then there's a lot of new jobs opportunities as well.
Thousands of new good paying jobs coming in.
Yes, and a lot of people moving to the state of Arizona, which makes us a little bit more like, oh, I want a house there in Arizona. Right. Yeah.
And we're here in Central Phoenix right now, Midtown to be exact.
Yeah.
And I moved into this location where we're at in 2017. So there's just so much happening here. Look at Park Central, Mall.
Yeah.
Right? They have a university, Creighton Medical School there now. They have the Hilton Suites there now. I mean, it's just amazing, just in my little hyper local section where I'm at.
But that's everywhere you go.
And where you're at, in the West Valley, it's just amazing. What's happening in Old Litchfield, right? That across from the Wigwam.
Yeah.
They're building, there's going to be different phases, but they're building 200,000 square feet of retail space and multifamily. It's just unbelievable. Goodyear,
Yeah.
GSQ, look at that. Have you been to the GSQ Square?
Yes.
Verado,
Yes.
Buckeye. I mean, you name it. All these cities are just going all out. Look at Avondale, the Boulevard.
Yes.
Everyone is trying to say, hold my beer, right? Because everybody's in on it now. And if that doesn't show you, just in your town where you're at, like the growth that it's experiencing, it's unbelievable. Like we're in a very, I wouldn't move anywhere, but just the money that is coming into Arizona, the eyes that are in Arizona, the spotlight that we have, unbelievable. And if you want to be in real estate, definitely check out Realty of America.
Yeah.
We're so honored. I'm honored again to be working with you at Realty of America. I think we have a great thing that we can take advantage of as far as the opportunity. And the best part is we're able to give this opportunity to agents that we know, any like-minded agents that are watching this and that are interested. I'm just very honored to be part of Realty of America. I'm honored to be working with you again and all the people that we have around us.
Likewise, here too. I'm very happy to be working with you. We always been like familia, like we said before. And I think the people that are around us are very hardworking and they're looking to succeed in life. And I think Realty of America has to offer a lot to the agents that we're in and the ones that are coming on board as well.
Right.
If you want to work at a great place, Realty of America is the one to go.
And to check us out,
Yeah.
realtyofamerica.com. You'll see a lot of information there.
Come and be part of our familia.
Yes.
Realty of America.